Order up! Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Movies You Missed Podcast, episode 158 coming at you. You are here today for some tasty a la carte options from the service industry. We are excited about this episode because I have never seen Vee's pick before, so I'm excited to get into that one. And I know Vee has seen my pick, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into that, welcome. And also, Vee, how are you today? How is the restaurant treating you this afternoon?
I am pleasantly full of movies that we watched this week centered around the waiting and service industry. I'm so glad we decided to do this topic.
Me too. It was a fun one, a fun revisit for me. Even though I literally watched Waiting about a month and a half ago, it was great to revisit it, as always, because it's just one of those movies that if you really need a good laugh and some good raunchy comedy, that's a movie to go to.
Oh, you're absolutely right, John. That movie's hilarious and has been ever since it was released.
Yes, indeed. And the release date was, well, we'll get into that in just a little bit. But before we get into all of that crazy stuff, we are Vee and John, film industry veterans, here to discuss movies that we feel have been forgotten, fallen under the radar, or just need to be revisited. And I feel like both of these movies are the definition of our podcast.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. And number one rule is?
No spoilers here.
That's right.
Yes, the only spoilers that we'll have here is hair in your food or nail clippings in your pie or something like that, which would be really disgusting.
Yes.
Hopefully nobody's ever experienced that. I'm really going to get into all of that in just a little bit. And now I think it's time to jump into a movie that Vee has introduced me to about a pie-making woman that works in a small little diner. Vee, what do you say? You ready to get into this one?
I'm so excited and ready to get into this one.
All right, let's do it.
All right, I chose the 2007 independent movie called Waitress. This movie stars Kerry Russell, Nathan Fillion, Jeremy Sisto, Cheryl Hines, Andy Griffith, and Adrienne Shelley. I've loved this movie ever since I was introduced to it. Unfortunately, I didn't see it in theaters, but I'm so excited to talk about it and hope you all will be interested in watching it after I summarize the plot. It centers around a woman named Jenna. She's played by Kerry Russell, who you would recognize from the show Felicity back in the day when we were growing up.
That curly hair.
Yes, and then she chopped it off and created a big old scandal.
I remember that.
Yeah. She also appeared in the Mel Gibson movie We Were Soldiers.
Oh, yeah, great movie.
She had a very brief role in Mission Impossible 3 in the very beginning.
Yeah, she did.
She met her real-life husband on the set of The Americans, which she starred in through the whole run.
Oh.
And more recently, she was in Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, she was.
We love that movie.
I love Cocaine Bear.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
So glad that we both so glad we both watched that movie.
Hell yeah. I turned my sister onto that one too, and she had to look away a couple times because it is a gruesome movie, but it is so much fun.
I need to watch that again. So that is Kerry Russell. She plays Jenna. She is in a small southern town, and she has been blessed with the gift of being an incredible, life-changing baker. She bakes pies at Joe's Pie Diner, which is a roadside diner in the South. Even though she has the God-given talent of being an incredible baker, she is known far and wide for the skill at which she makes pies, and she makes new pies every single day for this roadside diner. Her friends would never want to trade places with her because she is in an awful, abusive marriage. She is married to a terrible man named Earl, and he's very jealous, he's very controlling, he's just an awful human being in general, and he's played wonderfully by Jeremy Sisto, who you would recognize because I chose Clueless many months ago, and he is Elton. He's a douche in that movie too.
Yes, he is.
Just very different, because in that movie he's a spoiled rich boy. In this movie he's a poor jealous oaf, and totally reminds me of the Dixie Chicks song from the 90s, Earl Had to Die.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Which is a great song.
I don't think I know any of the lyrics, but I remember, I think the video had the dude from NYPD Blue in it or some shit, right?
Dennis Franz.
Dennis Franz, that's the guy.
So one day Jenna is in the restroom at the diner, and unfortunately, she's taking a pregnancy test, and more unfortunately, it's positive. And she knows exactly how that happened.
Dear Lord, please protect our Jenna from the hell of unwanted pregnancy.
I don't need no baby. I don't want no trouble. I just want to make pies. That's all I want to do, make pies.
I thought you weren't sleeping with your husband no more. He got her drunk one
I
night.
should never drink. I do stupid things when I drink, like sleep with my husband.
So unfortunately now she's pregnant by her awful husband. And what does she do? Well, she goes to her doctor. Then this is where she meets a new doctor in town, Dr. Palmater, played by Nathan Fillion back when he was so young. He was so cute.
Such a weird last name, Palmater. I did not like hearing that name ever in this movie. It was really strange. It's like, Palmater? I don't know. For whatever reason, the name just rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, I can tell you the name Palmater is actually the combination of 3 of Adrienne Shelley's favorite Yankees players.
Interesting.
Jorge Posada, Hideki Matsuki, and Derek Jeter. And she put them all together, and that makes Palmater.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, and so that's how she came up with the name.
All right, that's cool.
But the nice thing is his first name is Jim, which is a normal name. And Nathan Fillion, he's done really, really well in TV, but he's also been in Saving Private Ryan. He was the first Private Ryan that they went to. He was the wrong Private Ryan.
Oh, wow, that's right. Yeah.
During the writer's strike, years and years ago, I think around 2012, he made an independent version of Much Ado About Nothing with Joss Whedon, which was really good.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, and he's really good friends with James Gunn, so he's been in the Suicide Squad movie, he's in the new Superman coming up. But like I said, he's been most successful in TV because he was in Two Guys, Two Girls, and a Pizza Place, which, funny enough, also starred Ryan Reynolds.
He was in that show?
Yeah, they're really, really good friends in real life.
Oh, interesting.
And they're both Canadian.
Oh, cool.
He was an evil priest in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he's one of the best villains. Oh my god, he's so good in that. And then he became really famous when he starred in Firefly. He was in a miniseries called Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog, which is an awesome musical that I highly recommend everybody watch.
I've never watched it, but I've always wanted to. That's Neil Patrick Harris is in that, right?
He is, yeah.
Nice.
And his biggest claims to fame are starring in Castle and currently The Rookie.
Oh, yes. Amy is a big fan of The Rookie. I've never seen an episode. Same with Castle. She likes that one, too.
Yeah, we talk about both those shows all the time, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So Nathan Fillion is Dr. Jim Palmater, who's new to town, and he is trying to help Jenna with her pregnancy, even though she is very unexcited and unenthused about it, to a point where she tells him, and he says, "Oh, well, uncongratulations," which is fair.
Yep, big time.
Who would want to have a baby with an awful man? It totally makes sense. And
not me.
No, not me either. And so the rest of the movie is following Jenna as she deals with what to do about this pregnancy. She has support by not only her two girlfriends at the diner, who are played by Cheryl Hines, who you recognize from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
And Adrienne Shelley, who plays Dawn, and she's the one who wrote and directed this film. And beyond those friends, she also has Joe, who owns the diner, who's a crotchety old man who comes in every day, and only Jenna is allowed to wait on him because none of the other waitresses want to put up with him, and Jenna and him actually form a pretty sweet friendship, which is really nice. And Joe is actually played by Andy Griffith.
When I saw his name show up in the opening credits, I was like, I had no idea. I never saw a trailer for this movie, so I had no idea that he was in it. It was kind of a fun surprise.
Yes, because he starred in the Andy Griffith Show and Matlock for many years. He's a very well-known TV actor.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the support from Joe and her friends, she tries to navigate this pregnancy. She's been saving tons of money to leave Earl, and now she doesn't know what to do because the money needs to go to getting ready for the baby. And she just feels very stuck because she's a very poor woman in an abusive relationship. And this movie follows the journey of her pregnancy to see how she can make her life better. And I've loved this movie ever since it came out. I've seen it tons of times. There was also a musical that opened on Broadway, which I'll discuss in a little bit. But before I get into that, I definitely want to stop and ask John what his first time viewing this movie was like, if he enjoyed it. Oh God, I hope you did.
All right, let's get into it. It was my first time viewing. I did not enjoy it. And I'm not being facetious. I did not like this movie very much. I give it about a C-. There's a lot of stuff that goes down in this movie that I did not care for at all, that you're not talking about because we don't talk about spoilers here. And I thought the cast, other than Andy Griffith and Cheryl Hines and Adrienne Shelley, I could not connect, didn't care, just was not into it. The pies looked really tasty, but other than that, I was very underwhelmed with this movie. I felt it was very lackluster, and unfortunately, that's my opinion of Waitress.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
Yeah. I feel a little bad because I've known about this movie for so long, and I know a lot of people really like it, and I didn't.
Does your wife like it?
Amy didn't watch it with me.
Oh, bummer.
She didn't want to watch it with me. I asked her to, and she said, I don't want to watch something depressing. I said, well, I don't think it's a depressing movie, and I don't think it is at all.
It's not. It's very sweet.
I don't think so. There are moments that I laughed, definitely. Not like hysterically, but chuckled. I thought Adrienne Shelley's Dawn was adorable, and Cheryl Hines, I've worked with her several times on Curb Your Enthusiasm, and the very first movie that I ever worked on, she was in, and she's a sweetheart, and I thought she was great. But I don't think it has anything to do with me not growing up in a small town or anything like that. I just did not connect. And I gave it its due. It was on Hulu, so I watched it on Hulu. And it's been one of those movies for the last, I guess over 10 years now that I'm like, I should give that a shot. I like Kerry Russell. I like Cheryl Hines. I knew Cheryl Hines was in it, but again, did not know Andy Griffith was in it. I did like the relationship that he had with Jenna. I thought that was very funny. I don't know. Something about Kerry Russell in this movie really rubbed me the wrong way. And that's, I guess, just where I'll leave it because I don't need to go any farther. But I am curious how it was made. I know of the very unfortunate circumstances that this movie faced as well, so I'm sure you'll get into that. But yeah, overall, I give it about a C-. I will never watch this movie again.
Ugh. That's so heartbreaking. I think this movie is so sweet. I think it has a lot of heart. I've gone back to this movie so many times, and I like that it's a little bit of a melancholy movie, but also really uplifting as well. There's a lot of mixed emotions that you feel watching this movie that I feel every single time I go back to it. I thought it was really well made, especially for the budget. It had a budget of only $1.5 million.
Oh, wow. Nice. So did Andy Griffith get like $900,000?
This was actually his second to last ever credit.
He was definitely old in this movie.
He was older in this movie, that's true. And I'm really sad to hear that. I actually don't think I've met anybody who hasn't liked Waitress yet.
Well, now you have.
And now I have. I'm really, really curious to see what Amy thinks of it. I'm gonna have her watch it, actually.
Good luck.
So I'm really sorry that you didn't enjoy this film, but that's okay. We each have different opinions. It definitely happens. And I also get really inspired to bake more whenever I watch this film. I love baking in general, and so I am actually looking for the cookbook that is based off of this movie.
Oh, I'm sure there is definitely one out there, and I would try some of the pies for sure.
Yeah, those pie flavors were fantastic and very unique.
Yeah.
And so now, audience, you definitely have to give this movie a watch on Hulu and let us know which one of us you agree with.
Yeah, I will feel like a lot of people side with you more than me, and that's fine. It is what it is.
And like I said, this movie had a budget of $1.5 million. It was shot in 20 days.
Oh, damn.
And all shot in Santa Clarita.
I was going to say, I've been in that diner.
Oh, yeah, because that is the Halfway House Cafe. We've both been in that diner.
Yep.
Have you filmed anything at that diner?
I actually never did, no, but I have eaten breakfast there many times, and it's very good.
Yeah, same. A ton of shows and films have been, even music videos have been shot there.
Oh, yeah.
Sons of Anarchy, funny enough, Spartan with Val Kilmer, movie we mentioned.
Oh,
when
nice.
we were doing our Val Kilmer episode. There's also a scene in Space Cowboys that's shot there.
That's true. And in Tenacious D, The Pick of Destiny.
That's right, yes. Tons of projects have been shot there. And in the film, Nathan Fillion's character of Dr. Palmater is married, and his wife is played by Darby Stanchfield, which is funny because on the show Castle, she plays his first ex-wife in that show.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, she's a great redhead, and it's just funny that they played spouses in two different projects. Your wife would know that reference.
I'm sure she would, yeah.
And there's a character named Ogie who really likes Dawn.
Yeah, a little too much.
Yeah, his name is Eddie Jemison. He's actually in the Ocean's 11 movies. He's Livingston, the super sweaty, nerdy guy in the Ocean's movies.
Yeah.
And he took the role of Ogie in the movie and actually went on to play that role in the Broadway musical adaptation of Waitress.
Oh, that's cool.
Because this movie was turned into a Broadway musical. Sarah Bareilles wrote all of the music for the musical, and it premiered in 2016. It closed in 2020. It was nominated for 5 Tonys, and
Wow.
It was very, very popular, but this was the 2016 Tonys, and that was the year that Hamilton was nominated.
Oh, well.
So it won nothing.
I was going to say, did it win anything?
No.
Probably not.
No, unfortunately. But the film version of the musical, similar how they turned Hamilton into a movie and put it on Disney+, the film version of this musical was produced in 2023, and it's on HBO Max right now, so I'm going to check it out.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I probably won't,
No,
but maybe
you
one
won't.
day if I'm really bored.
Jesus Christ. Okay. And unfortunately, there's some tragedy tied to this film as well. Adrienne Shelley, who wrote and directed this film and started it as Dawn, Jenna's friend, unfortunately, right after the movie wrapped, she was murdered in her apartment in New York City.
I remember hearing about that, and I was very shocked. Very fucked up situation.
It was oh God, it really was. And I'm so sad for her. And so unfortunately, Kerry Russell was called to record the director's commentary for the DVD in her place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But her family now has Waitress as a memorial to her. They can go back and watch it and see her, especially her daughter, who actually has a role in this movie.
Oh, really?
Her little daughter, Sophie, plays Lulu.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and so now for a lot of people, Waitress has become a tribute to Adrienne Shelly. It was very popular with a $1.5 million budget. It made $19 million in the United States.
Damn.
And $23 million worldwide.
Wow, that's very impressive. That's good.
So it did really well.
Good for
Yeah, I'm just sad that we didn't get more projects from Adrienne because clearly she would have gotten more opportunities given how successful this film was.
Absolutely.
And so whenever I go back to this movie, it's a little bittersweet for me, but I still love it. My sister loves it. My mother does too. And I hope you all do too. Please go ahead and watch it on Hulu and let me know if you enjoy it.
Definitely. I'm glad I saw it. I'm not like, it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's not like you and Hamlet 2 or Monkey Bone or anything. I'm glad I can say I've seen it, but yeah, it's not a movie I'm going to recommend to anybody.
Well, no worries because I will. And again, like we said, we hope you guys give it a watch and let us know who you agree with.
Definitely.
So that is Waitress, and now it's time to completely switch gears.
Oh, yeah.
To a movie that has a very different genre than my film this week, but it still centers on the service industry. So, John, your table for two is ready.
All right, let's jump right into it. This film comes from us from 2005. We are going to be hanging out at the restaurant Shenanigans, hanging out with Monty and Dean and all the other crazy sons of bitches that work there, including Naomi, who is quite possibly my favorite character in this film. This film is called Waiting. And I know V is a big fan of this one, just like myself, so this is going to be a real fun little half hour.
Yes, it will.
I watched this movie when it first came out in theaters. I remember being at the beach with some friends, and we were on our way back, getting a little stoned, and we were like, let's go to the movies. And Waiting was playing, so we went and saw it. Left absolutely in hysterics and started quoting the movie immediately after leaving the theater, and it is still a very, very quotable film now, 20 years later, and it still holds up. The whole thing. And what's even more entertaining about this movie is now that I am a bartender in an airport restaurant, I know all of these characters.
Yes, I was a cocktail waitress and server in my 20s when I was in college, and a lot of this movie is quite accurate.
Yes, it is. I had only worked in one or two other somewhat restaurants. I worked at a pizza joint when I was 15, and I worked at a Philly cheesesteak place. And they were just little stands, nothing like real restaurant status, so I didn't really have a dishwasher. We didn't have any cooks in the back. Everything was really kind of up in your face, kind of like how Jersey Mike's does it in Subway and stuff like that. But anyway, if you have not seen Waiting not only centers on just about every character that works at Shenanigans, but really mainly focuses on Dean and his somewhat of a mid-20s life crisis, if that makes sense.
Yes, he's having some directionality problems. He's not quite sure what he wants to do with his life, which is fair.
Totally fair, especially at that age. And you know what? I thought I knew what I wanted to do with my life, even up until about 4 years ago. And I'm doing something I did not think I would be, and I'm not complaining. I absolutely love what I do. It's a complete blast. I make great money and know a lot of great people. But anyway, the service industry can be a real son of a bitch, and I'm sure all of you know that, especially if you have worked in the industry, same as V and myself, because in America we rely on a thing called tip culture, and that can be a little bit of a bitch. I try not to let that really ruin my day too much, but sometimes it really can. Like V said, Dean's having some directional problems. Dean is played by Justin Long. Monty is played by Ryan Reynolds. We have Anna Faris starring in this film as well. We also have John Francis Daly, David Koechner, Luis Guzman, Shai McBride, another one of my favorite characters in this film, Caitlin Doubleday, Rob Benedict, Alana Ubach, who we've actually spoken of once before on this podcast because she was the voice of Mama Imelda in Coco in the Land of the Dead.
That's right.
And this film stars just a couple other handful of people. Jordan Ladd, Emmanuel Sharik, and Dane Cook. Wendy Malick also has a cameo in this movie, and I love the scene with Wendy Malick, just so fantastic. When I saw this movie, I actually thought that Wendy Malick was Ryan Reynolds' mom. They were perfect for each other in this movie.
They really were, and I love that scene so much. It's so
great.
Awful.
It is so awful. And what's funny is when I first saw this movie, I actually thought that this was one of those like dream sequences where Dean was like, oh, this is kind of some weird fucked up dream that I remember having, but it seems like this is actually how Monty speaks to his mother.
Oh, yes, this definitely really happened.
And I love, you know what, why not? Let's just here's a little bit of the audio.
So I called your house today at 2. You were still asleep, weren't you?
That's an understatement.
So what did you do last night? I trust my little angel didn't do anything immoral.
Well, let's see. I started by getting completely hammered drunk. It was bad. Then drove, while intoxicated, to pick up this disease-infested prostitute.
Uh-huh.
From there, let's see, me and the hooker went back to
The
my
hooker
place.
and I.
Excuse me. The hooker and I went back to my place, and from there, God, it was just a blur of intravenous drug abuse and unprotected sex while taking the Lord's name in vain.
Dean, did you know that when Monty was a child, everyone thought he was retarded?
Dean, doesn't my mom look old? I mean, like, much older than she rightfully should?
I love that correction that Wandy Malik gives him, the hooker and I, because it's so funny. Ever since seeing this film, anytime I overhear somebody in the world say me and, all the time, I'm just like up in my head, no, the proper vernacular is so-and-so and I, not me and. It just sounds so improper. So this is just a quick little scene where we meet Monty's mother. Dean and Monty are hanging out. But Dean, like we said, his problem of trying to figure out what exactly he wants to do. He's been a waiter at Shenanigans for a couple of years. He's just been offered the assistant manager job. He doesn't know if he wants to take it. Dean's mom's kind of coming down on his shoulders because she just ran into a mother of a guy that he went to high school with that just graduated college with a bachelor's degree, and he's doing really well, and yada, yada, yada. So this, of course, just kind of puts Dean into a little bit more of a funk because he's just feeling like he's just a little bit of a loser, and I also like this moment between Dean and Calvin.
You think you're still in the running for the assistant manager?
Never just wake up and realize, holy shit, I'm a fucking loser.
Yeah, man.
God, I just want to be able to say, I want to be a teacher, you know, or a podiatrist, or a fucking electrical engineer, you know, anything. Just have a fucking clue.
And Calvin is one of those characters that actually, watching the documentary over again, I haven't watched the documentary of the making of this movie in probably 15 years, but I did watch it. It's an hour and a half long.
Whoa,
and it's
that's
actually
the length of the movie.
It's the length of the movie. I know, yeah. But it's kind of cool to actually really break down the movie because not only did Rob McKittrick write and direct this movie, he spent years working in similar restaurants. Shenanigans is based off of a Bennigan's, but if you really look at Shenanigans, it's based off of Chili's. It's based off of Applebee's. And all these kind of
Outback.
theme restaurants. Exactly. Outback. What's the other one? Black Angus. You know, all these themed restaurants that have all this decor on the wall. It's just all this shit that you can sit around like, oh, look at that. That's cool. And go back to your very mediocre meal.
Very American.
Yeah. And I love the training video in this movie. Our food is made by handcrafted chefs, and they're dropping steaks and burgers. And there's a really horrendously gross scene in this movie that still kind of makes me gag every now and then, but it's so funny. We'll get into that in just a minute.
It absolutely made me gag. It makes me gag every time I watch it. I have to cover my eyes.
Yeah, every time. Especially when she takes the first bite. It's like, ugh. Yeah, we'll get into that in just a few minutes. So like I said, Dean's been offered the assistant manager job by his manager, Dan, played by David Koechner. David Koechner is hilarious. If you don't recognize him, he is a character actor. He's been around for many, many decades. He's in Anchorman, Anchorman 2, Get Smart, Piranha 3DD. Just all over the place.
Take Dorothy Mantooth out to dinner and never call her back.
I don't know that reference.
That's an Anchorman quote. He's insulting Vince Vaughn's mom. It's great. He's the sportscaster in Anchorman. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He has the cowboy hat, right?
Yeah.
Right, yes. And we spend almost not exactly 24 hours with Dean and everybody that works at Shenanigans, but it's over the course of a long shift. And we also meet Mitch, who is played by John Francis Daly. He's the new trainee that Dan has given the responsibility of Monty to kind of explain to him the ins and outs of working at Shenanigans and the better parts of the game that he and all of the other male employees at Shenanigans play with each other, which is a very hilarious game that I know I personally have not played this game, but I know many friends of mine that work in the service industry have played this game, so I guess don't keep that in mind when you go to Red Lobster next time. Because that's where I actually learned about the game after having seen the movie. For the rest of the movie, we are along with Dean while he tries to work through this potentiality of being an assistant manager at Shenanigans, Monty screwing around with Mitch, and the cooks totally fucking things up, and Naomi having a complete mental breakdown every 7 or 8 minutes. And it is nothing but a laugh riot. It is raunchy. It is completely offensive. It's one of my top 15 comedies of all time. I watch it probably once or twice a year. My wife will never watch this movie with me again. She was sitting with me during it, and during the scene where they fucked with people's food, she had to leave the room and said that this is almost as disgusting as Trainspotting.
No, it's not that bad.
It's definitely not that bad, but it's still pretty fucking gross. So I'm a big fan of this movie. I know world over so many people are. I actually ended up giving this movie to one of my coworkers at the restaurant at the bar because she had never seen it before. And when I gave it to her, I said, hey, when you watch this movie and it's over, I want you to come back to the restaurant and tell me who you think everybody in this restaurant is in this movie. And she did. And she had a whole list, and it was fantastic. And we can get into that in a minute. But V, I'm curious what your rewatch was like. I don't know how long it's been for you since you've been at Shenanigans, but what did you think of Waiting on this go-around?
I haven't seen this movie in a couple years, but I enjoyed it just as much as the first time I watched it. I've seen it a bunch of times, and I had the pleasure of... My oldest sister introduced me to this film years and years ago. It was after it had been in theaters. It was a couple years after it had come out, but...
Oh, sweet.
She introduced me to Waiting, and this week I had the pleasure of watching it with her again for the podcast.
Nice.
So I thought that was really special. We had a really good time revisiting it. This movie still holds up. It is very raunchy. It is very early 2000s. They use the derogatory name for gay people. They use the R word, and you just have to take it with a grain of salt because this movie was made in 2005. If you can get past that, it's still hilarious to this day. The one-liners are just... back to back to back. I love everyone in it. It reminded me, though, that Ryan Reynolds as Monty, he's never played anyone but himself in a movie.
That's true. I think it's ever since Van Wilder. Like, Van Wilder launched the Ryan Reynolds, and then we don't have anything. Yeah, that's it. We have Ryan Reynolds. There he is.
Yeah, he's completely cornered this niche role for himself, and more power to him for being successful and making a whole lot of money off of this one-trick pony that he's created. But it works for him, and it works for audiences, so you can't knock him for it. I had a huge crush on Justin Long in the early 2000s with this and Accepted. He was in a string of comedies that I really enjoyed, and he's great in this film as Dean. But seeing John Francis Daley as he looks like he's 15, he's such a cutie. And he played Sweets in the show Bones for years and years and years, but he actually is a really good screenwriter.
Yes, he is.
He wrote the screenplay to Horrible Bosses, and...
Oh, that's a shame.
It's funny. And he also wrote the screenplay to Spider-Man Homecoming, but what I'm most...
Oh, cool.
What I love most about him is that he wrote Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, Honor Amongst Thieves.
Thieves.
That's a great one. He also did the remake of Vacation with Ed Helms, I believe.
Which is really funny and has a great cameo by Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, that movie was very entertaining.
But the hottest one at the restaurant is definitely Tyler, the bartender.
Oh, yeah.
But beyond the scene with Monty's mom, which... God damn it, that scene's so good. There are two scenes in this movie that I always go back to that I love. And that is the scene with the bitch customer.
Yes.
It's gross, but it's true. You don't fuck with people who handle your food.
No, you do not. Or your drinks.
Or your drinks, yeah. So she had all of that coming to her, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But the other one is when Anna Faris and Monty are talking because they used to date, and the tirade that she goes on to just turn him into ash is so satisfying and so fun. And she just obliterates him.
All right, I was just trying to let you down easy, but this is bullshit because we both know that you enjoyed having sex with me.
The only real pleasure I ever got from having sex with you came from making fun of it later with my friends. Tell him, Amy.
It's true. We laughed a lot at your expense.
So, you know how when you're walking past a group of people and you hear them laughing, you sometimes get that paranoid, self-conscious feeling that maybe they're laughing about you when they're really not? Well, in your case, they really are.
That is a great moment in that movie, and I love all the reaction shots that we get off that.
Yeah. So yes, this movie's awesome. It's gross, but it's still hilarious to this day. And definitely stay for the credits because that Rube Goldberg machine that they have on the wall of Shenanigans, they actually trigger it in the credits, which is a lot of fun.
Yes, it is. I wasn't a big fan of the rap video with Andy Milonakis too much. I thought that was a little bit much.
So
but
stupid.
Yeah, I did like the whole thing with that mechanism. That was pretty cool. Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it this time around, and you were able to watch it again with Suzanne. Suzanne, thanks for being a part of this episode and watching it with V. It's definitely a great movie. So I think we can get into some of the behind the scenes, but I do want to talk about another character. I've mentioned her twice. Her name's Naomi, played by Alana Ubach. She is so fantastic. Our introduction to her is incredible, and it just gets better and better from there. My favorite scene with her is when she's dropping off dishes with Shy McBride's character, Bishop. And the reason why this is so funny is because because Shia McBride's character Bishop is the go-to therapist in the kitchen. He's the dishwasher. He's already helped Calvin with a couple of things. He's already talked to Mitch about what he'd like Mitch to do for the day, which I thought was great. He says to him, I want you to think of what your life would be like if you'd have been born blind. There's no context in that at all. He just says to him, I want you to do that for me.
Naomi, you know, if you ever want counseling and anger management or alcoholism, I'd be more than glad to do it for you.
You do that for me? Thank you. I appreciate that. But I think I'd rather you just wash the fucking dishes and shut the fuck up! Fucking psychobabble bullshit asshole!
She goes from 0 to 100 so fast in this movie. She's so hysterical. Watching her audition video was also fantastic. I don't know any other actress at the time that could have really pulled this off. She had just come off of doing Legally Blonde 2, so she is in the first Legally Blonde. She's one of Elwood's sorority sisters, and she's very funny in that movie.
What
she's very
range?
Yeah, exactly. And then again, in Coco, she even sings in Coco, and she's got a beautiful voice. She's a very talented, very versatile actress. And this movie, I think, shows just how versatile not only this movie, but Coco as well. She's great.
She really is.
And she's one of everybody's favorite characters in this movie because of just how insane she is. So like I said, the writer-director of this movie, Rob McKittrick, he had spent a lot of time working in a lot of themed restaurants through Tampa and southern Florida. Just kind of started thinking that this would make a great movie. He also felt that way because every restaurant he went to, he met the same kind of people. And that's why he wrote Waiting. And now that I am now in a restaurant, I have met every single one of these people. I work with a Naomi. I work with an Anna Faris character. I work with a Caitlin Doubleday character. I work with a Dane Cook character. I work with a me character. I work with me. People have told me that have seen Waiting, especially the young lady that I let borrow this movie, that I am a mix of Dean and Monty. And I was like, you know what? I'll take that. I'm totally fine with both of those. So.
With a good seasoning of Naomi on top.
Yeah, but I don't actually get really angry at the bar ever. I really don't.
No,
I did
no.
the other day, but I do I can have a temper.
Yes.
I don't let it show though.
No,
just
you
like
don't.
Naomi, she normally does it behind closed doors, and
That's
I usually
exactly
just go
how
into the
yours
back
is
of the
too.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and just kind of go back like, oh, can I get a side of ranch with my fries? Can I get like that's? I totally have a little bit
See,
of Naomi
you being
sprinkled in me too. Yeah, totally
in point.
validated what you just said. And all the cooks are usually like, John, you all right? I'm like, oh, yeah. She just wanted sweet potato fries, but all of a sudden she wants regular fries, and she wants fry sauce and ranch and honey mustard. So, for sure, I'm great. Not that I have 13,000 tickets to make. And those 13,000 tickets are 13,000 cocktails for the 35 people that are sitting at the bar. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. I do love my job. Absolutely. 100%. So that's Waiting, everybody.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
See, I told you I had a sprinkling of Naomi in you.
I absolutely do, yes. But one of the older servers that I work with, she is definitely the Naomi of the crew, and she's hysterical. But other than Rob McKittrick coming up with this idea, he ended up shopping this screenplay around for quite a while and was lucky enough to, at one of his restaurants, meet a guy that was working at MGM Studios in southern Florida. Gave the guy the script. He really loved it. And for a few years, they just kind of bounced it back and forth between casting directors and producers. Finally, it landed, and they got a casting director. They started casting the movie. He thought maybe the movie would be about a $250,000 to $500,000 budget. Ended up ballooning to $3 million.
What?
This was, again, 2005. Yeah, so Ryan Reynolds, Anna Faris, Justin Long, Dane Cook. They were very slowly starting to make that Hollywood rise. So I don't think, got paid a whole lot. I think Luis Guzman was like the biggest name in the movie next to David Koechner.
Yeah, for sure.
And Luis Guzman plays Radimus. He's one of the cooks, and he is hysterical in this movie, too.
He's such a deviant.
I don't think there's an unfunny part in this movie. Like, true, like, everybody has one or two moments that are just hysterical.
Even the busboys being little stoner shitheads is hilarious because they're trying to act like they're black, which is the classic suburban white boy act in early 2000s.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And Andy Milonakis kind of has the "Don't be a menace" kind of haircut, and T-Dog, he's got the backwards hat, and he's like. Yeah, and I love David Cockner's always like, Theodore Nicholas, and they're like, T-Dog, bitch! And they're like...
It's very early 2000s, for sure. This is a time capsule of a movie, so because we grew up during that time period, it's still so hilarious. Anybody over 30 will totally understand this movie.
100%. Over 30, short from 40. Actually, beyond then, because I know people in their 50s and 60s that enjoy this movie, that work in the service industry, or have at least.
Definitely. And I think it should be a rule when you're in high school. Everyone needs service industry experience.
I completely agree, especially now.
Yes, because people treating anyone who serves them, anyone who is in the service industry, bellhops, etc.
Yes.
Anyone who treats those people bad, immediate red flag. And most of those people don't understand how hard those jobs are. In fact, the bitch that comes in the restaurant even says, "How hard is your job?" And it's reality is it is a hard job. Have a little respect for it. Don't be a dick.
Absolutely, 100%. I have been blessed with a magnificent memory similar to Dean in this movie, and I have rarely made a mistake, but I do. I make mistakes, and usually people are very forgiving of me, but not the servers. And that's one thing that always really irritates me, is like when I will, come up to one or two of the servers and can just see that they're kind of being worn down. I'm like, what's going on? Everything all right? And like, well, I just had a $95 table and they left me $3. It's like, holy shit. Like, you got to be kidding me. They're not only dealing with your table, they very likely have several other tables under their belt. And on top of that, they could have just had a really shitty night the night before at home. So just have a little compassion if you can, and everybody will be happy. All right, let's get into a little bit more of the BTS, because we've just been rambling about the service industry, which is a great industry, and there's a lot of great restaurants out there, but there are also still not some great ones.
Like Shenanigans.
Just like Shenanigans or Applebee's. I don't like Applebee's. I do like Chili's, but Applebee's, not a fan.
I've never been to an Applebee's.
You're not missing a single thing. The role of Danielle was originally offered to Molly Sims. She ended up turning it down, and then it was offered to Paris Hilton, and Paris Hilton refused to do the role of Danielle, so Jordan Ladd was cast. I know, it would have been interesting to see Paris Hilton, but I mean, this was back when I think The Simple Life and all that shit was on, so it made sense that they would offer it to her. I have the DVD. I bought it when it first came out at Best Buy, and it's a double disc. And on the second disc, where the hour-and-a-half documentary is, there's a whole section of outtakes, and there is a wonderful behind-the-scenes moment in this movie where Rob McKittrick and Luis Guzman decided to come up with a prank on the entire rest of the cast and crew. So everybody, cast and crew, is piled into this small restaurant at this Bennigan's in Florida. And at one point, Luis Guzman says to Rob that he has a line that he would like to try. And Rob McKittrick says, "I don't want you to try that line." So it just keeps going, where Luis Guzman, who at this point has been in Traffic and several other big-budget Hollywood movies, he starts going off on the fact that Rob McKittrick is a nobody, hack, piece of shit director, etc., and they start screaming at each other in front of the entire cast and crew. And you just see everybody start to slowly disintegrate. Dane Cook and Anna Faris and Ryan Reynolds are just looking at the ground, eyebrows up, and they're just like, holy fuck, what the hell is going on? And at one point, finally, Luis and Rob break character and all say, "Fuck off, everybody, we got you. That was just a complete prank." It was so realistic. When I watched it on the DVD, I was like, holy shit. It was stuff I'd only ever heard about, right? Because I'd never really been on any big sets yet. This was 2005 when the DVD came out, too. So I'm like, holy fuck, this is so fucked up. And then it's like, we got you. And it's been a whole thing for the fans of waiting to know about this whole prank that Luis Guzman and Rob McKittrick were able to pull on the cast and crew. Thought it was pretty magnificent.
That's awesome.
And Rob McKittrick actually went on a few years later to write a movie that I found to be absolutely hysterical, starring John Hamm, Jake Johnson, and Ed Helms, and Jeremy Renner, called Tag.
Oh my God, he wrote that too.
Yes, he did. Tag is fucking hysterical.
We both love that film.
Yes, it's totally a great buddy comedy, and it's based on a true story, which is even better.
Mm-hmm.
So that might actually have to be on the list, because I don't know too many people that have seen that movie. I watched it on a plane, and I thought I was going to pass out from laughing so hard. Jeremy Renner was so fucking good in that movie.
He was great in that film, and it's such a good companion to Wind River to show his range.
Oh, yeah.
That is his best comedic performance, and I wish he did more comedies.
100% agree. Yep, everybody was great in that movie, but Renner was the star. Now, Waiting came out October 7th of 2005, later in the year, but again, like I said, I remember watching it in theaters, and it was a great time. The budget, like I mentioned earlier, was $3 million. The opening weekend domestic box office pulled in $6 million.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, domestic box office, $16.1 million.
Holy shit, that's great.
Yeah, and the worldwide box office was $18.6 million, so it did pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Very likely why we didn't hear from Rob McKittrick for several years.
Why?
Because he made a lot of money off of Waiting.
Oh!
But he did write a sequel called Still Waiting, which is based on Calvin actually breaking out of his insecurity shell and running a somewhat of a Hooters type of a restaurant.
Oh my
and I'm going to tell you right now, it fucking blew.
Of course
it
it
was
did.
not funny at all. It was so bad. McKittrick should have just stuck with the first one and never gone to a sequel. But hey, when you have a successful one, sometimes you can't really help it, especially if the studio's coming down on you and the actor's like, let's do it. Whatever. It is what it is, but Tag was his redemption, and he's got a couple other projects in the works right now, so hopefully we'll see him pop up again.
Awesome.
2005, I've done that year before, so I won't get into any of the really highest grossing. Needless to say that the domestic box office of $16 million put Waiting at 134 out of 150 highest grossing films of 2005.
Aw.
Yeah, you know what? It's all good. I remember when I saw it in theaters, I think there were 4 other people in the theater, so the fact that it pulled in 16 mil domestically is very impressive.
Yes, absolutely. Based on its budget, it was an incredibly successful film.
100%. If you care to check out Waiting, it is currently streaming on Peacock for free. I watched my DVD copy.
And you mentioned last week that you watched the unrated version. I've never seen that cut of the film.
I think what happened was the R-rated version became the unrated version. Because when I saw it in theaters and I saw the unrated version, there really wasn't much of a difference.
Oh, okay.
Kind of similar to Superbad and Knocked Up. There's the unrated versions, and there might be a line or two added that I don't remember in theaters that is just in there. It is what it is.
Oh, okay.
You can't remember every moment,
Yeah.
But it's still a great movie, so check it out. Lots of laughs. I'm glad that we both enjoy it. Sorry, V, I did not enjoy yours so much this week, but that is just the way, as Bruce Nolan would say, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Oh, I can't wait to do Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, there we go. So, V, I'm curious, would you watch Waitress with your grandmother?
Oh, I absolutely would. I've watched it with my mom. There is one sex scene in the film, but it's hilariously awkward, so it's not a big deal. And I believe it's rated PG-13. It's a pretty light film in terms of any sex or violence or anything like that.
I would say so.
And John, would you watch Waiting with your grandma?
Oh, absolutely. Grandma would love this movie.
Oh my God.
No, not a chance in hell. No way.
No, I would not watch it with my parents. I don't think either of them would really find it funny anyway, but it's so raunchy.
Right. Yeah.
One of my sisters would hate it because of it, but my oldest sister, Suzanne, loves it. And and some of my friends like you love it too.
Perfect. All right, well, that is our service industry episode, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Next week, we are going to be going down a Disney rabbit hole of movies from the early 90s. I'm so excited to introduce V to my pick. I probably will be introducing a lot of you to my pick as well. But V, I'm curious what your pick will be for next week.
Yes, we are going to the Great White North with next week's episode, centering around dogs. And so I picked a Disney classic from the 90s. I think it's pretty underrated, and I think it's really sweet. I can't believe you've actually seen it before. So I was so excited when you said you had. So that'll be a revisit for both of us. It's called Iron Will, and it's currently streaming on Disney+.
Awesome. Can't wait to watch that one again. It's been a long time. I have a VHS copy of it, and I probably watched it about, 10 years ago. That might have been the last time, so it's been a minute.
Yes, same for me.
Awesome.
And what Disney dog film did you pick for next week's episode?
Well, my dog film is a slightly different dog film, as the dog is actually a wolf. So I went with a film that was based off of one of Jack London's classic books. This film is one of Ethan Hawke's first starring films, came out in 1991. This is White Fang.
I've read the book.
Oh, sweet. I actually never have read the book.
What? Weren't you made to read the book in elementary school or something?
No, I read Call of the Wild, but I didn't read White Fang.
Oh, yeah, I read both. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes. A lot of people do get Call of the Wild and White Fang mixed up, and that's okay. There's some, they're not really that similar, but White Fang is one of my favorite films. I watched it the last time about 7 years ago, and I sobbed my eyes out, so I'm so excited to watch it again. One of the best soundtracks, early Hans Zimmer. Can't wait to get into this
Ooh.
one and introduce you to it. Yes, it is streaming on Disney+. It is such a classic of my childhood. I've been watching it since 1991, so it's been a very long time now I've been watching this movie.
I'm excited to get into it.
As am I. Well, thank you guys again for joining us. Episode 158. That was a lot of fun. Please do rate, review, subscribe, follow us on all social media. We have a watch party prize coming at you if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. So get on that and let's have some fun and have a watch party with John and Vee. So until next time, please tip your waitress. We'll see you next week. Oh, but actually, before we do that, film is a form of art. And in art, all opinions are valid, except if you think.
The new Oscar rule that voters have to watch all of the nominated films before voting shouldn't have been in place since the goddamn beginning.
Yep, pretty ridiculous. Now we know why Honora won last year.
That's the first thing I thought of, too.
Nobody watched that piece of shit.
I wish I hadn't.
Same. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Cheers, everybody.
Bye-bye.